please. The lady that ran on. Now that's her first time here, but that happens in concert a lot, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Is she still here?
No,
She's been tossed out.
I don't think she's still here. But what is it? Did she grab you and want to kiss you? Or?
Yeah, you know. Do you remember me?
Is that what she said?
I'm afraid.
Did you remember her?
No.
Oh, man.
No, I think she's been a fan for a long time. But that was great. I mean, that doesn't happen to us on television. It's never.
Tell that on choreograph.
Oh, not on television, that's for sure.
You know, nobody ever does that to a comedian. You never see yourself saying, so one sock's missing from the dryer. Go! Come on, get her off me! Get her off me! Get her off me! Oompa! Oompa!
And people laugh anyway, right?
Yeah. Oh, man, that's weird. You actually have brothers.
Yeah, I do.
You know, not black men, but brothers from...
We're still brothers.
Yeah, but brothers is the same.
Last time I checked, they were white.
Yeah. How long have you all been working together? Have you all always been in the same group?
Yeah, we've sort of much been in the same band all our lives. Yeah, 13, 14 years.
And how did you guys meet?
Well, I met Michael through my brother Andrew, actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so Andrew and I went to school, and Tim and Kirk were at school, and we got together and started a band, you know.
Yeah, we don't know any other life, but life as in excess.
Yeah,
you know?
it's true.
Yeah,
It's good.
You all are about to kick off a tour, and
Yes.
And here's the interesting thing. You all are kicking it off in a very unique way. Maybe you should explain that to them.
Oh, the secret show and I was supposed to talk about it. Yeah.
I thought you meant the Arsenio Hall show.
Oh, well, yeah, this is kind of like,
from this,
is the foreplay for the kickoff for the tour, you know?
Yeah, we're doing a show, Friday.
Friday night, yeah. It's sort of a
a little club.
undisclosed
On
venue
Sunset.
here.
Somewhere.
Yeah, it's kind of a private thing, but you know.
But if they find
You
it,
can come,
they
you
can
can- yeah, you
run
can
up on
find
stage and grab
Sure,
you.
you got it.
Or any of you and your brothers.
No, he's fine.
Yeah, stick with it.
Has your voice changed a little bit?
I think it
People,
has.
yeah.
I mean, I think Michael
People are
is
saying
singing a
that.
lot better on this record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, anytime.
It's Australian in me, right? No, I love this guy.
Yeah.
Seriously though, I think Michael's singing a lot better on this record. Maybe it had something to do with Max Q.
Yeah, I did a little album with, called Max Cube with a couple of friends, and I really worked out a lot, experimented a lot. You know?
Oh, you know that record?
You know it?
Yes.
Someone does. Good.
So,
Didn't get the same
I
reaction
just worked,
as
yeah, I
In
worked
Excess, though,
out.
right?
Yeah, no, it didn't. Yeah, I just experimented a lot and really found. I mean, I don't think I really took it that seriously for a long time. It's just be like a fan, you know, fan in the band. And now, really take it seriously. You know, really enjoy it. You know, getting a style for myself.
I have a question.
oh, sure.
When are we going to see the Arsenio Hall show in Australia?
Actually, we're working on it because we got it in Finland and Yugoslavia and a couple places, and
great.
I'm ready to bust it down in Yugoslavia, down in Australia, down in yeah. Because we have a lot of guests from down there here. Kylie Minogue and Paul Hogan, who is, I don't know where, I have no idea where he's from, but Paul Hogan's been here. And
I've got an idea where he might be from.
I can't wait to do that. What else about the album is different other than your voice?
Hell, it's got a different cover. Not the name, I guess, the album X.
Where did that come from?
Well, originally we were just going to call the album In Excess, which was the same as our first album 10 years ago. And we just kind of decided that, there was an X very featured in the logo that's on the album cover. And it means a lot of things, yeah. It means a lot of things.
It means it might be a little saucier than the others. Maybe. We'll take a commercial and come right back with Tim and Michael.
Welcome to Liner Notes. I'm Alan Hunter. Tonight's program is about music from the land down under, Australia. Now, from Men at Work and Split Ends to In Excess and the Divinals, Australian music has captured America's imagination. We used to look to Britain for fresh new sounds, but this year, a lot of the excitement has come from Australia.
There's a real lot of video coverage for bands, and like rock video, you might call it, has been sort of an avenue for that to be got across in the media for years and years now. You know, like amongst our 4 television stations or something, you know, there's about 6 shows a week. So, and like, really the Europeans have been leading that for some time now. And as well as that, Australia has been listening to a lot more European music.
In Australia, there's a video. Australian bands work on building an audience through extensive touring. Now, most of the country's population is concentrated in just a handful of cities, and the groups spend up to 10 months a year shuttling back and forth between them. Live music is big there. In fact, Sydney, Australia has more music clubs than New York City.
And in Australia, and
Men at work.
Yeah. Whereas we've been doing the live circuit in Australia for some time now, and have built a lot of our following in Australia on that basis, you know, that as a live act. And we really, you know, think that when the Americans get to see us play live, you know, they'll see the difference in black and white.
So you've been around as long, if not maybe a year longer than Men at Work, actually, because they really did pop pretty quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, they actually had been playing in a very small level, funnily enough. And in fact, Gary, our bass player, he used to come around and say, come and see this band Men at Work. And Gary picks up pet bands, you know. And I think he must have liked the bass player or something. And he'd say, come down and see him, and he'd say, oh, yeah. And he said they're going to be big, you know, so they were.
INXS is hoping that they will be the next big success here in America. Now, although they're new to us, they already have 3 gold albums at home in Australia. Now, INXS has finally released their first album here. It's called Shaboo Shabba.
Well, actually, it was a title for the song that I wrote on the album, and it's kind of the way I write, which is like through rhythms. In fact, a lot of our music's based on rhythm, and it was like just rhythmic words, shaboo shabba, you know, and the next minute I turned that around into a bass line, you know, shaboo shabba type of thing, and I came up with the song The Spy of Love. But we were just kicking those words, shaboo shabba, around in the studio a lot, and before long, everything seemed to be shaboo shabba this and shaboo shabba that.
And we just, it's good to invent a name.
Yes, they're INXS words.
Did you know at the time that you were doing this album that it was going to be released here?
We pretty
we knew it wasn't going to be just released in Australia.
Right.
But, I mean, the point is, in Australia now you can do what you're doing there and bring it to America or bring it to Europe or Japan or wherever you want to be, and you don't have to essentially in America you don't have to change your style. All these bands like LRB and Air Supply, they really came to America, Australian bands with an American music. But I don't think that's necessary anymore. I hope not.
A lot of British bands back in the 70s used to think that that coming to America and making it here was somewhat of a cop-out or a sellout, that, you know, the Clash had that attitude. You're going to make it there, well, then you must be commercial.
Well, that's because if you listen to the taste, if you think to yourself, well, if we're going to fit in there, how are we going to fit in there? Obviously,
Well, that's obviously not the Australian view, or is it?
No, well,
it has been, I think, maybe for a while.
Yeah, the last couple of years, I mean, nobody really wanted to go to America. I mean, you might, because you wouldn't be able, nobody would play material here. And it wasn't until, I'd say, Men at Work really did it on their own terms, and maybe AC/DC, a few bands. And that Split Ends, that has snowballed a bit. We've got the first door open, but, you know, we want Americans to forget the hype, forget we're Australian, even. We're Australian band, but forget that doesn't make up anything. Just come and see it. All the boundaries, the national boundaries in the next, 5, 10 years are just going to disappear. It makes no sense to say this and that comes from England and America. I mean, Japan's going to have its turn, and all sorts of places are going to have their turn. It's really just an awareness. It's not an invasion of sorts.
Well, it shows up in the music. In fact, I read a guy trying to describe your music. He wasn't actually trying to make an attempt at it, but he went through this long list of about 50 bands, from the Rolling Stones to the Clash, to Mental as Anything. He went on through, and he said it's impossible to describe that. So maybe one day there will be an Australian sound, but hopefully not.
I think all that's going to sort of disappear. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, people are just playing music, and that's all there is to it. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Is there anything you personally feel is unique? I mean, if you can step back and be objective about it.
Let me see. Possibly the fact that being from, maybe if you say from Australia, where the influences do all tend to meet and gather in one big melting pot, we've had that advantage of seeing what's going on in the rest of the world.
From a very objective point of view.
Yeah, from a very objective point of view. I'd say that that's had a lot to do with the way we see things.
We're not American and we're not English. Maybe that's a good reason.
That's a very unique thing. You know? Some people are. Well, I don't mean to put you on the spot with them because, you know,
that's okay.
Who cares? We play what we play.
Yeah, I mean, it's come along and see us and they can decide. I really do think it's a bit strange to say, I suppose. I think there's a lot of substance to In Excess. At a minimum, we want to write good pop music, at a minimum.
The band is called In Excess, and they're right here at Much Music. Tim Ferriss, Micheal Hutchence. Welcome.
Hi.
Now, first of all, guys, I have to make an apology to you. Now, you're not aware of this, but I got a letter from a girl named Cindy Madden. She's from London, Ontario, where you're playing tomorrow night. No doubt she's going to be there. And she wrote something to me, and this is truth. This is TV verite. She is so mad at me because I keep on calling your album Kicks, and it's Kick. And she's like very nice. All right, so I have to apologize to you and to Cindy. I really apologize. Now, can you tell me what the Kick, why you call your album Kick?
Kick. No, yeah. Well, because it kept on propping up on all the lyrics and just seemed like a positive gung-ho statement from In Excess.
Which is funny, we knew the album was going to be called Kick long before it was even finished. Which
Yeah,
was kind
which is a change.
Yeah, it was kind of nice.
We got a name, we stuck with it, because normally we're sitting around with an album and no name for it, so we did this.
So you guys are playing around. I understand you're going to be on the road until Christmas of '88.
Yes.
Who told them? Right, fire the manager.
Well, actually, we're going home for Christmas this year, after England.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back out on the road again February, probably out most of next year until Christmas '88.
Yeah.
You guys are really one of the hardest working bands in showbiz. I mean, it's a cliche, but it's really true. You play all the time.
Yeah.
How do you keep your energy up, all these shows?
Lots of sleep, no going out to nightclubs.
We
That's
do?
not true.
Yes, it is.
No, actually, it's no sleep, going out to lots of nightclubs.
Yeah.
No, good food, I guess. You know, exercise.
You don't do any of that.
A positive mental attitude.
Mental attitude.
I don't know. I guess
We like it, you know. If
Yeah.
you like it, it's very hard to go out and do something you don't like for a long time. That will definitely weigh you down. But if you're enjoying it, you can do it.
But I guess we've been doing this together for a long time. So we've grown up doing this, so we don't know any different. So I guess keep the musicians dark and they'll always work hard.
Probably.
Now, I was just telling you guys that I actually drove from Toronto to Ottawa to see you play about a year ago, and the show was so good. I was a girl in the back, you know. It's like I was
Yeah, I
going,
remember you.
hi, yeah.
Respect.
And when I was watching you on stage, I have to tell you, I was really nervous because you looked really mad, and you looked like either you're going to hit someone or you're going to swear at the audience. Now, are all your
do
shows
that,
like
yeah.
that?
I don't know. I get a bit possessed sometimes. I'm not as angry as I used to be, maybe. I don't know. So when I see myself back on videos and stuff doing that, I do look really sort of...
Well, it's just because you were there, actually.
You didn't know it.
No, I don't know what it is. Yeah, I get very involved. It's one way of putting it.
Well,
Yeah.
going back to the idea of you playing so much, how do you maintain this energy and this edge show after show?
Sometimes you don't, to be honest. I mean, hopefully we do all the time. You know, you just got to do things that you want to do. If you start relying on automatic things that you think will work every night, then you start fooling the audience and fooling yourself. And by 2 weeks go by and you're on automatic and nothing's really happening up there. You've got to just, whatever happens, it's got to be real and pure emotion. That's all.
Yeah, it also works like if you're bored with a song, then you just leave it out, change your song list around.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot to do with playing the music that really keeps you up and that you enjoy, you know.
What I think is really cool is that you guys have total control, creative control over your career, which very, very few bands. Now, when did that start? When did you make that rule in the band that worked?
After our first major mistake. we signed to an independent label, which we wanted to do, but not a very good one, and we decided to fight fire with fire and learn the business and learn how to take control over our videos and our music and everything, and go to the bank and get a loan instead of going to the record company and getting a loan. And and take power over it. But at the same time, use the big companies, which are great because they got lots of little trucks that drive the records out to shops, and and they're good people, you know.
Well, how does the record company feel about this? Because they don't have control. It must be a bit intimidating for them.
They like what we do, so it's okay. We have an understanding.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't do it if it wasn't any other way, basically, because we wouldn't enjoy it as much. You know?
Okay, so let's talk about this album. It's really good.
Thank you.
But you know what surprised me about this album is, I don't even know how to put it into words, but it seems almost more sophisticated, this album. It's really intense, but it's more low-key and like...
But yeah, and we're still listening to it. We've just got out of the studio with it, so we're still trying to listen to it like anybody else would. Yeah, we've got this. It's quite varied as usual with In Excess, but we have a lot of different styles, and I think we've got some of our heaviest rock music on and some of our heaviest funk music at the same time. So, yeah, it gets dark and light and dark, you know.
I agree, because when I was listening to it, I was like, God, all the songs are totally different.
Yeah.
How am I going to interview these guys? They don't have a particular sound.
Yeah, we don't really have a formula. You know, we enjoy ourselves, that's about it.
All right, let's play a video. So we'll play Need You Tonight.
Good.
And then we'll talk some more, okay?
Okay.
All right, this is the brand new video from In Excess on Much Music.
I've got to let you know you're one of my kind.
We're back on In Excess and Stereo Much Music. Now, watching that video, okay, he was here last time, right?
You weren't.
You weren't here.
Vanished.
I was probably
We did an interview last time, and I brought up the subject, which I warned you about, that Micheal Hutchence, sex symbol of the 80s. And last time you laughed. You laughed last time. I could show it to you. I have it on tape. This time, this is the headline everywhere, that you are turning into like one of the big sex symbols. Now stop smiling. How does that affect the band? Is it good or bad for the band?
Well, we can have a hard time keeping our hands off him. Apart from that, I don't know. Were you me representing the rest of the band?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. For an ugly guy, he sort of scrubs up pretty well, I suppose. We don't really spend that much time dwelling on it, really.
I mean, it goes back ages ago. You know, when we first got reviews like that, we'd all laugh about it. They'd laugh about it. I don't know. It's all very natural and healthy, you know.
And you love it. I can see the smile.
I know. I think it's sort of funny, really. I think John's a much bigger sex symbol than I am. Where's John?
He's on the front.
Oh, he's on the front cover. There's
This little guy here.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's he really like? I mean, is he... You know what I find interesting about, I've interviewed a lot of bands from Australia, the Hootagoos, Hunters and Collectors, Crowded House.
Right.
One thing that they all have in common is that there is an incredible bond between all the members of the band, and even perhaps if, say, Mark Seymour is a spokesperson for Hunters and Collectors, there's such a tight unit. Now, what is it about Australian bands that creates this strong unit between all the members?
I don't know, it's a different sense of competition. We don't really have a star system, you know, so there's no use in becoming one. And it's, I don't know, it's just equal. A lot of brothers in Australian music as well. So that's all sorted out when they're kids as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why? Because we work, I guess, the pubs and...
It doesn't work that way for all Australian bands, needless to say. Men at Work, for instance. But I mean, I guess for the ones that finally can get together to get out of Australia and tour the rest of the world.
I guess if you get this far, then you must be keeping it together.
That in itself, too, is enough to create a bit of a bond, you know, leaving Australia and travelling, you know, countless hours to get anywhere, you know, and then touring the world together and stuff, starting off in small, dingy places, and, you know, you have to support each other and stuff like that. It's not all a piece of cake, you know.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Now, when you're on the road for very long periods of time, so I have to go out on the road myself for Much Music. I'm doing the Loons and Long John tour, and I'm going to be on the road just for 3 weeks. Now, you guys are on the road for like a year at a time, or even like 4 months at a time, go home for a few days, and then... What do you pack?
Too much. I just threw out most of my stuff, really. I got a small bag now of stuff I wear. I would just wear this. You packed a TV once.
I usually take a lot of stuff. I don't know, fishing gear, about 5 suitcases of clothes. I'm always sending them home too. I don't know, I like collecting things on the road. And then
Yeah, it tends to become your own little home, you know, what you have with you.
that's it, you know, you carry your home around with you because you can't call a different hotel room every night home. So home comes out of your suitcase, you know. Take down the pictures on the wall and hang up the ones you brought with you and stuff like that.
Hang up with the casters.
Now you are starting to get a career in acting.
Yeah.
It's the rage now, the Dogs in Space. Now it's not been released in North America, so why don't you tell us a bit about it?
It should be released here very soon. But Dogs in Space is a scenario over 3 weeks of about 12 people's lives. I'm one of them, a guy called Sam. And he gets himself in a bit of trouble here and there. Everybody gets themselves in a bit of trouble here and there. And we all live in one house, and it's just a slice of life. It's a very unusual movie. It's a good movie, I think. It's very funny in places, sad in other places. It deals with drugs, heavy drugs. It deals with it, I think, in a very balanced fashion. It deals with a bit of music, very like 1978 post-punk kind of music in Melbourne, where the birthday party and all that sort of scene came from. So it's semi-documentary in a way. We reformed a whole bunch of bands.
What I find interesting is that I read that a lot of the acting was done improvisational to begin with. There wasn't a script.
Oh yeah, it's a very minimal script. I mean, I grunt and groan throughout most of the movie. I don't really say much. I speak in a very strange dog-like language, and we just work things out through sitting around with all the people and improvising it. You know, and we got the same house. It's all fairly much true stories, and we got the same house where it all happened. I remember going to the same house years ago, and I know the character I play and a lot of the characters in the house. So there's only about 3 professional actors in the movie, so the rest are people we've grabbed out of clubs and people who are playing themselves. You know?
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, now that you've done some acting, I know that you're being asked to do other movie roles.
Yeah.
How has your experience being on film affected your on-stage presence with the band at all, if at all?
That's great. I mean, it was great to do a movie and come back to music. I reappraised the music, and you know, acting's a very human element. You know, you have to.
Good therapy.
Yeah, it is. It's like therapy. I got my head together, and you know, you have to work out yourself before you can work out somebody else to play them. So it's good. Good for lyrics and things.
And now is he acting like a movie star? You have to cope with that?
No, he hasn't really changed. He changed for about a month or so afterwards. He was still grunting and groaning a lot. But
twisted for a while.
But it's cool. I mean, it's what we expected.
That's great. Do you have any outside projects yourself that you're working on, aside from...
I'm working on a shark fishing documentary.
Can you say that again?
A shark fishing documentary. That one of its kind. It'll be the first kind of shark fishing documentary like this you'll ever see, set to heavy rock music, and it's going to be sort of, I guess, angled at a younger audience, not just sort of average sort of middle-aged fisherman kind of movie at all. And it should be pretty wild.
That's interesting. Keeps the band healthy and everybody have outside interests. That's great. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go. I know you have sound check to do.
Okay.
Hand movement.
Good to see you again.
It's a pleasure. You're playing tonight at
We are.
Nancy Hall, and then tomorrow night in London at Alumni Hall.
That's right.
And please come back to, I'm sure there's a lot of other
Can't wait.
Canadian people
Oh, we will.
and dates that you, are you going to
We
come
will.
back?
Yeah, next
We'll be
year.
back next
For
summer.
sure.
Oh, that's
For
right.
sure.
Like after 8 months, we'll have been on the road by then.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we're going to play a track from Dogs in Space, right? This one's called, let me get the official, Room for the Memory.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, who's backing up on this? Because I know it's a solo.
A bunch of guys in Melbourne. They're just assorted cronies and strange people from the clubs of Melbourne.
So
Good musicians.
No
They're
in
great.
excess types.
No in excess types.
Okay,
No.
that's great. Well, thank you
Right.
very much.
Okay.
Okay, see ya.
See ya.
This is Micheal Hutchence on Much Music.
Micheal Hutchence from the NXS. Welcome back to Good Rockin' tonight. Thank you. The last time you were here was the Commodore in Vancouver, and now it's the Coliseum. I mean, there's a drastic difference in not only audience size, but just in terms of success. How is success sitting with you?
It's very well. Yeah, you know, everything's going great. You know, In Excess is a funny animal. The more we just enjoy ourselves and almost indulge ourselves in a positive way, the more success we've had. So,
Pros and cons of it?
yeah, you know, we're very happy at the moment.
You surprised?
Well, I didn't think about it, so I'm not surprised either way. we just do what feels right and natural and what comes to us, you know.
And there's
boringly simple, sorry.
But still, if you do something boringly simple and end up on top, that's it. What about pros and cons of it? Are you finding, are there problems to go along with the joy of being successful, as successful as you are?
I think you inherit a lot of responsibility for all kinds of things you never expected you would. And you know, they range from sublime to ridiculous, and you just got to deal with those and figure out your priorities, you know.
What about the ridiculous? What have you had to do that you haven't particularly enjoyed?
Oh, I don't know, you know, just the funniest things that somehow involve playing music as well, you know. Just to not be able to go to certain places at certain times and do certain things, you know.
Your privacy really affected?
Yeah, because it's privacy and things like that, which isn't too bad, I think, really. I'm not miserable about it.
Right, I mean, if it was all to end tomorrow, it would be something you'd miss.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
How do you avoid, when this happens, how do you avoid the star syndrome amidst all this media barrage, you know, and all this attention that comes out to you?
I don't know. I think that for a start, we don't really have much of a star system in Australia, so it doesn't really work to be one. It doesn't mean much to act like one, at least. Most stars aren't really stars, you know. They're just people acting like that, what they think they should act like. I don't know. I'm fairly arrogant as I was when I was 17. I haven't changed much.
There's an article I read that says you're an arrogant beep. What do you base that on?
No, I think that I probably was worse years ago than I am now. I'm thinking, you know, I'm a pretty straightforward person. I'm interested in somehow maintaining something that I believe in. That's all. You know, I just believe in the music that we do and what I have to say and what the band has to say. And if I can maintain that through all this, then I'll be very happy.
Tell me about Mediate and the thought that went into writing that song.
Andrew had it around for a year or two, and he never showed it to us. It was a secret. And what's this? And I helped, you know, so we write some more lyrics and let's put it together. And it just came out really fast, and we added it to, we sort of segued it to Need You Tonight. And then we ripped off the first film clip ever made, Bob Dylan's clip, and made that in a coal mine in Australia.
You've lived pretty well all over the world. Where's home?
Hong Kong.
And when was the last time you were back there?
About 4 weeks ago.
All right, but you don't get back that often.
Yeah, we just had 6 weeks off, so I was home for a little while. But no, we've been, especially the last couple of years, we've been touring pretty heavily.
And what's in an NXS show, just for those that maybe haven't had the chance to see you?
6 boys making fools of themselves. Rock and roll. No, it's pretty straightforward. It's not you know, I think we've got a big stage compared to what we used to have, and we've got little lights and stuff, but it's pretty tasteful. It's not millions of flashing lights and smoke bombs and, you know, animals leaping off the stage and things. It's rock and roll, you know, our kind of rock and roll, and I think it's a pretty good night. In fact, everybody seems very happy. I don't know, you know, we've got things to say and we have some fun and we enjoy it a lot.
You know, it seems that on your way up, music critics are always with you, and it seems as soon as you hit the big time and that success, that they suddenly turn against you. Do you find that that's the case?
I don't know. If you won't read bad articles, you shouldn't read good articles, you know?
Oh, so you don't read them that often?
I don't know. Some journalists I read because I think they're very good. Journalism's a strange thing, I don't know. And we've, on the whole, never had really bad press in a big way, you know? It's probably good to be either loved or hated and not to be ignored. You know?
The comparisons are coming in. I mean, you've heard all of these. Geez, you know, I mean, I've got Mick Jagger, I've got Dances Like Madonna, I've got, you know, actually, I'll show that to you. Jim Morrison, that's a common one, and I know you've heard this a million times before. Is it a fair comparison?
I don't know
Did you
much
like
about
Jim Morrison?
I saw the second video I've ever seen of him the other day, so, you know, I don't really know much about him. He's good. He's good, isn't he?
Well, I don't know. That's a matter of opinion. You don't remind me at all of Jim Morrison.
I don't mind the comparison, I suppose.
And does this, it seems that people are looking to hang a hat on something.
A lot of people I'm compared to are dead. This is a dangerous thing, you know? I should take care of myself. 11 years, so
And it's very typical of Australian bands to stick together through thick and thin. I guess we're lucky. We're lucky to have that time and experience in the pubs in Australia to make us strong. I mean, we're very strong, and we really do believe in ourselves.
Midnight Oil is another really successful band from out of Australia, and they're very specifically Australian in their politics, and their politics is really heavy in their music. Mm-hmm. In Excess music doesn't seem to really have a same sense of place.
No.
Do you do that deliberately?
Well, I think for any Australian band, there's a element where you have to take yourself out of pub to the rest of the world, you know, and that is a very crucial time, because there's tons of Australian bands, but they would never mean anything to anyone else. You'd have to be there. You'd have to spend a few weeks, you know, hanging around the pubs, hanging around downtown or whatever, and seeing these bands, and then they'd mean something. And it's a very important moment for a band to leave Australia and come to wherever, London, New York, Paris, and play. And it's how they approach that makes or breaks them. And for instance, Midnight Oil, once upon a time, you know, they spent a long time playing through Australia, and they probably do have a strong sense of place because they're dealing with, you know, local politics, you know, Australian politics. In our lyrics, there's on every album, there's a couple of songs like that, but it's not an overwhelming factor. You know, but I think the artists have got, in a way, bigger things to contend with. Politics are just there because we can't get the basics right.
And what musicians I've always thought were there for is to delve into those basic, you know, life, death, and everything in between, to quote Woody Allen, you know.
To have Michael emerging as the sex symbol and maybe even the voice of the group, do you feel that is breaking any of the relationship that you have in the band?
No, well, he's always sung. So, I mean, from that point of view, you know, the writing of the lyrics and that was always left to Michael because he has to sing them, and you know, I just wouldn't feel right about Michael singing, you know, my life story or something like that. You know, it doesn't seem to be the right thing. I'll sing it or something. But you know, I don't know.
It's one of these things that the media does, and it does it every time, you know.
Exactly, there has to be a focal point.
They need focal points, and it makes their job easier. And I don't think the band really minds. From the first time we ever had a review, this has been going on. You know, and I get, you know, for it, and it's a pretty healthy situation, actually. There's no big problem.
I mean, to us, it's not something that's just happened.
Yeah, you know, as long as it's not distracting from the band, you know, In Excess is a band, it's six people. They're not backing me up as my musos or anything. It may appear that way at times, but, you know, we're pretty much equal.
Despite the band's denials, it seems inevitable that Hutchence will get more and more of the spotlight. He's already started a film career, starring in Dogs in Space, which ironically is set in the Australia of the 70s, where In Excess started.
Hello.
I remember you. Didn't I just see you a moment ago in the kitchen? What's this you've got here?
Look, it's a thing.
Oh, it's a girl, Sammy. You've never seen one of them before, have you?
The part Michael was playing was the character who we knew, had known for years. And Michael's someone who had grown up around me as well. And it's like seeing Michael on the screen playing this other guy that I'd known. It was all a bit strange. I was like, wow.
Dogs in Space was, at the time, was really strange because, you know, What You Need went to number 5 or something while I was sitting around in a rat-infested hole in Melbourne singing punk songs.
Long ago when I was not much younger than today.
Every band starts in about the same place, I think. And, you know, you're out of the same garage or whatever, the same house, and it was kind of similar. You don't make much money. You live off the dole. You kind of starve a bit. and you might stay that way, you might be lucky.